not good. Well, first off, it has no power. Second off, the bump knob's missing and the string is completely sheared off at the head, so I couldn't cut even if I could get it going. So today we're going to go over everything you possibly need to know about a Murray trimmer. Now really, I don't even work on these anymore. And I know that sounds bad. Why don't I work on them? It's because they were $69 when they were sold at Walmart or the big box stores. And so I feel really bad charging somebody my labor to actually fix it. So most of the time when someone brings it in, I either tell them how to fix it, which I'm pretty good at doing, or I go ahead and try to adjust the carburetor for them. I charge $5 for that, or I try to help them out with their head issues. But other than that, if I have to put any of my time and labor into it, it just costs way too much. Fortunately for you and me, this customer, he really didn't want to fix this one. He really wanted a new trimmer. So when he came in and had the few issues that he had, it wasn't hard to convince him to buy a new Echo. So he left me his old one, and I've decided why not make it a learning experience. I'm going to show you everything that normally is wrong with it. But before we jump into today's video, if you're a fan of saving time, money, and frustration while fixing your own small engine equipment while watching in-depth tutorials, you've come to the right place, because that's what I do. I upload a couple times a week, and if that sounds interesting, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please leave a comment. I love to read through the comments, and I will reply to all the early commenters. Now, as you heard before, this thing was not running good. It sounded like it had no power at all. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have fresh fuel inside of it, and it is not over 3 months old, because I promise you, gas does not act the same in these 2 cycles after a few months, if it's regular gas. Also, make sure it's not canned fuel. You can get bad batches of canned fuel at the store. I see it all the time. Every single week, a customer brings in something with canned fuel that had been working in their machine for months, and all of a sudden, it doesn't want to work. So I do not know what that's about, but I'm just telling you, be wary of the canned fuel. Now, 99% of the ones that come into the shop just need an adjustment, and that's because they've let them sit over the winter time. And it's really simple. Now, you're going to have some tools to do this because they're special. As you can see on the carburetor, you do have a low and a high adjustment needle. On this one, it was idling fine, so we don't need to give it any more fuel on the low end, but the high, it wasn't kicking off at all. I've already checked the fuel and I know it's good. So I'm going to come out a little bit on the high and give it a little bit more gas, because usually that's what it is. The diaphragms in the carburetor, over time, they get hardened and they will not let the gas flow through like they should. So I've pulled out my handy dandy adjuster kit that has all the adjustment tools you could possibly ever need, and pulled out the Pac-Man tool. The Pac-Man is shaped just like the head of the Pac-Man, or body of the Pac-Man, I guess, because it's the whole thing. So I'm going to come out a little bit on the high, but I'm going to start it up first, and I'll let you see how it changes as I adjust it. So I just had it running, so I'm not going to choke and prime it again. So a quarter of a turn was all this trimmer needed to get it running to peak performance again. You will need a Pac-Man adjusting tool though. I will leave a link in the description box below if you want to get your handy dandy toolkit. It adjusts everything you can possibly have, and hopefully it'll save you some time, money, and frustration. So now that we know it's going to run, we can work on the head issue. So one thing I do want to tell you is if you have one of these trimmers, a Boland's, a Craftsman, all of them, they're pretty much the same because they're all made by MTD. They do not need a new spark plug. I know everyone that brings one in, that's the first thing they want to do. They want to buy a spark plug, but I will leave a link right up above showing you the 5 most common things I sell at my shop that you do not need to buy. 99.9% of the time, the spark plug will not fix your issue. If it is still starving for fuel after you try to adjust it and you have to go into the carburetor, I will leave a link right up above to going into one of these carburetors so you can check that out, because they do have issues with some, I think it's like a fine silt that deteriorates inside of their fuel line that gets stuck in the screen, and even though you can't see it, you got to clean it out or it's not going to run right. Now on to the second biggest issue I see with these trimmers. So you've ran out of line, or the line's cut off right at the head to where it's not coming out anymore. You can't bump it because your bump knob is completely broken off, because that's what they do. And unfortunately, even when you hold it and you turn this bolt, the whole shaft is turning because they get locked into the shaft and you have nothing to grab onto, and it's just turning in there. It's not going to come out. So your spool is stuck inside your head. What are you gonna do? Let me show you. Now the majority of these trimmers come as a split boom, which means you can remove the bottom half of the trimmer from the engine section. So we're going to press this little prong here, and I did already loosen the bolt that tightens the bracket, and we're going to pull this out if I can. Oh, that thing's tough. It's stuck. I'm gonna have to poke it. So I'm pulling out the big screwdriver, I'm poking that little prong down because my thumb is not strong enough, I guess. And there we go, I got it out. And take it apart. Now that you have it apart, we're going to look in the end here and see what's going on up in there. Now you can see that that's where the shaft, the upper shaft, goes into this lower drive shaft. We're going to want to find a big screwdriver like the one I've got and stick it inside. Next, you're going to want to pull out your 1932nd socket. I think that's what it is. Yes, it is. And I need to get my bit for it. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm sticking the very large screwdriver into the end of that drive shaft. Sticking the screwdriver between my legs so I can lock it into place. I'm coming around here, I got it reversing because it's lefty loosey, righty tighty. It's regular threads. I'm gonna hold on to this and I'm gonna tap it barely. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, this is a last ditch effort, because if you can't get this fixed, you can't line your head, the whole thing's worthless anyways. We might as well go ahead and try to zip it off. So, got my screwdriver in there. Ooh, come on, stay straight. Come on. I'm not holding it. Hold it down tight between my legs. I got it. All right, so there it comes. We got it out. Just got to hold it tight between the legs. So, a reminder of why I do not work on these trimmers anymore. After I got the bolt out from the bump knob, the head fell off. And after further inspection, this trimmer is double X'd. What does double X mean in my world? That means that it is not worth repairing, not worth putting any money into. Why? Because once I got the head off, I realized how screwed up it really was. Let me show you. So on the drive shaft that comes down, it has a hexagon shape that the back base of your head goes up on, and it's supposed to have a hexagon shape in the back of this plastic here that actually fits on there, and it is completely melted and wallered out. Ugh, that's a shame. Because this back base alone is $24. That's ridiculous. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm not sure a lot of y'all would do that. Maybe you would. I mean, you got a perfectly fine running engine just a head issue, so it might be worth to you. I will leave a link in the description box below if you do need a back base for your head on a M2500 Murray. But why did it do this? I can tell right here why it did. First of all, they were obviously beating it on the ground like crazy to break the bump knob off of it because the string wouldn't come out. It is stuck like Chuck. I mean, I'm having to rip it out of here. This one, it's almost melted in there. Why does it get melted in there? I can't even get this piece out. There we go. Because the customer was using old fuel line that was not hydrated. I made a video a while back. I will leave a link right above showing you how to rejuvenate your trimmer line to make it last, and even old trimmer line, even brand new trimmer line that you buy from the store. You need to put it in water overnight, let it soak, because what it will do, it'll get wrapped up in itself when it starts to dry out, and then it won't come out. You'll be beating it on the ground more, thinking that's what you need to do, but that's not the problem. It's really just the line. So whenever it gets wound up like this, everything gets too hot, and it completely melted out the center of the back base. If you do decide to repair yours and get a new back base, you will have to have a thrust washer. I will also leave a link to this in the description box below. Once you put your back base on, you will put the thrust washer on like that, and this one is worn out, but the easiest way to do it is just take a socket and tap it down into place to where it will hold it firmly, just like that. If you don't have a thrust washer to replace it with, you can actually just set it on something flat and hammer down the little teeth inside of it again and reuse the old one. So I win some, I lose some, I fix some stuff I don't fix, and that's just a reminder of why I don't work on these things. But hopefully for you, it'll save you some time, money, and frustration in the future. Thanks again for tuning in to Chickanic. If you haven't found us again on Facebook, find us at facebook.com/Chickanic. Find us at Instagram at The Real Chickanic, or find us at Chickanic.com where you get your own t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeve shirts. Thanks, and have a great day.